Yeah. Shit. Grind.
First got my foot in the door on YouTube during the COVID hyperpop era, where basically I'd cover the artist and also do reaction videos showing my normal friend all the weird viral hyperpop songs.
I think you'd like that. We only made it 1 minute and 22 seconds through the song.
That was a move.
Not a fan?
I got pretty into this music at the time, and while I still don't think I love the super hyper type Adderall sort of music, I did have a big appreciation for the genre, and I thought it was a very cool time. Like all the internet collectives and stuff popping up was very fun to see. Felt kind of like the SoundCloud era, revamped and a bit more underground. But this era only lasted a couple.
It sounds like the SoundCloud era. Don't compare the two, nigga. They're not the same, bro. Don't compare the two.
And changed a lot, with a lot of the artists all going their own ways in different directions. For some artists, they went back underground. Others toned down the hyperpop stuff and kind of merged into other genres. And some kept doing the same thing. And after reminiscing for a while, I was sort of curious as to where a lot of these artists are today, because I haven't really kept up with a lot of them. Little disclaimer here, I know hyperpop's been around for a long time with artists like Sophie, PC Music, or even Charlie XCX, but I'm mostly referring to like the COVID era of SoundCloud hyperpop. I mean, I'm sure you guys know what I mean. Also, I'm going to be looking into artists that I was like more familiar with and artists that I was a bigger fan of. I'm not going to cover everyone in this video, just like the bigger dogs. So with that being said, let's dive in. Breakins was one of my favorites from this era, and he's one of the few people I've kept up with to this day. Toward the end of the era, he dropped the album Hypochondriac at the end of 2022, but then he went radio silent. On occasion, he posts songs on his alt SoundCloud and has also been doing features here and there with people like Aries and Quedeca. But apart from that, it seems like he's been MIA for the larger part of 3 years.
Quedeca was so tough back in the day, bro. Everyone knows this song. Everyone knows this. It was not tough back in the day, but he was listenable back in the day. Everyone knew that. Oh, this nigga's. I don't. Okay, what to say? I thought I was way more than I was. Everyone knew this song though.
Fucked up, your barber is Tay Keith. I'm 18, making main stages. You were 18 and a virgin in the basement making rape faces. And now you really think your music is the most heat? Oh, that's so profound, you changed, that's so deep. Shut the fuck up, leave the studio and record some FIFA. They torture people with your music out in North Korea. Got so big and made so many
Wait, this high key ass, bro. Yo, I was a kid enjoying this shit. This shit is high key cheeks. What am I even hearing right now?
That your friends are terrified to let you know that you're whack. Now your homies are your yes man, egos over the max. Call Shane Dawson, I think this guy's a sociopath, huh?
Yeah, nah, this is, I don't know. Nostalgia blinding me, bro. This shit is bonds, bro. Let's keep our buck. This shit is whack, bro. Is this even listenable?
I'm actually really gonna get into the band, but I never understand why you really wanna ban me. Yes man, acting like a fan, but he keep you in a bubble that you're living like Sandy. I just been sticking to plan A, you're more a fan of the plan B. I know it must be hard, you're like...
Yeah, nah, Eminem did permanent damage to this society's music. Permanent damage, bro. Niggas think because they rapping fast they're good. Fuck no, nigga. Nostalgia blinds me. This shit is... It's mid. Let's keep up.
Regularly has people asking where he's been, but I think if I had to guess, he's just not a big social media guy and is probably gearing up to release something soon, I'd imagine, and I hope. Regardless, Breakins is most likely one of the bigger artists from this era, and had he continued putting out music following Hypochondriac, I'd imagine he'd be a bit bigger, although that doesn't seem to be his objective. Hypochondriac was very successful and very good, and despite a really stupid review from Anthony Fantano that I'm still upset about to this day, I think Breakins...
A light 5 is good, man. If Anthony Fantano rates you a light 5, just know that was at least an 8 or 9 out of 10, bro. Like, this nigga is harsh with his ratings, gang. Like, let's keep up. But if you got light 2, that is a 6 out of 10 album.
Is the GOAT, and he followed me on Instagram too back then, which was pretty cool. Oz Quinn, OS Quinn, or just Quinn, however you want to say it. Quinn was originally one of the OG frontrunners on the hyperpop scene with her song I Don't Want That Many Friends in the first place. And from there, I felt like she was really kind of like one of the top dogs, like I'd say big 3 of hyperpop back then. Since then, I think she's gone a bit more underground and has started collaborating with artists like Fear Dorian. And honestly, I think she went with like a bit less of a hyperpop sound. I mean, none of her new stuff really, I think, qualifies for hyperpop, at least the stuff I've heard. But I do think she took her sound in a really cool direction. I can't really pin down her production style to like one style because every project I've heard from her since that era sounds different. Like 2022's Quinn album, from what I remember, was a more experimental rap sort of project, whereas this most recent project with Fear Dorian is a bit more cloud rappy, if I could call it anything. Again, these are big overgeneralizations because her production style is so unique, but it's always interested me ever since Quinn came out, so it's definitely worth checking out. And like many other artists, as you'll see, she's still performing and has a solid core audience. Eric DOA had one of the funniest and craziest careers following the hyperpop era. For a while, he was running with Glaive a lot, who don't worry, I'll talk about.
Any of these
did
niggas.
that collab album, and it seems like he took his sound more from like hyperpop music to
just
more
like
of
no
a
top
pop
10 or
route.
something.
It was still pretty unique. Like they did have unique elements in all of their songs following this whole era, but it just was a lot less hyper. It looked like they were trying to have maybe a little more mainstream appeal. And I wasn't the hugest fan of these type of projects. Eric still had some good stuff, but it wasn't my favorite. And then he went viral for this meme.
Imagine if Ninja got a low table fade.
He created that. Oh shit, Ferris.
Imagine if Ninja got a low table fade.
Which was ironic because this meme got so big, and there's a ton of people, like everyone was singing the song that my niche artist was creating, and it wasn't even a real song, so it's kind of an interesting thing to see. And the meme is still massive to this day. Regardless, Eric again is still putting music out, with his last album coming out in 2024. And he definitely makes some solid music, and again has a very strong core fan base. Midwest was another one of my favorite artists from this era, and I personally like the direct.
I need to start searching these niggas up because I don't know who this guy is either. Midwest emo mix. Okay, that's enough to. That explains everything, bro. Like I said, emo music. My fault. I wasn't familiar with your game.
Boys that cow like courage. Got a good life when I grow up, I flourish. Your bitch wanna take a pic like she a tourist. Yeah, I'm a Gemini, bitch, fuck a Taurus. They talking about me like I am with the source. Got some boys in the hood, I ain't talking about more. We don't take everything in your house, get a mortgage. I need some glory, I feel like I'm Morgan, no Freeman. I drop a new song on my fans, know they geeking. Might go to LA and crash for the weekend. Midwest the neighbors, no one can defeat him. Get in the whip, but you playing my music. You got a gun, but we know you won't use it. I got some power, but I wanna build it. I'm one of a kind of you can't reproduce. The mic is bitch, I am Thor. Ain't none of y'all ready for shit that's a star. I killed the beat, put it under me.
Hold on. I need to see who's dropping right now. Damn, that's that nigga. Bears. Yeah, now he's spazzing.
Kill the beat, put it under me, no scars. Feel like I'm Bruno Mars, open that door. Switching the flow up, switching that cadence. Finna get reckless, tired of behaving. I'm way too ahead, I got me like savings. I have evolved, I bitch you a caveman. You not gon' slide, bitch, I know that you flaking, faking. I use the mic like a sword and I'm Jason. I just made a quick 10 bills.
Oh yeah, my go.
Put up in a limb. I just put up in that big boy tongue, I don't got no mice.
I know, but what's yours?
You say that you poppin', but I ain't heard of it. Any beat that you pass me, I murder him. We finesse this bitch in his hands. My bitch pull up and buckle my pants. I tip up off the track, I can stand. I got meals, top of bills by the lamb. I'm on person that ass, I can't land. Oh, I bitch, they just told me everything. Yeah, I take the crack out of the yeah, I'm in inside of the men's. Yeah, I'm finna fuck all the friends. That made my vision cut in my lens. Yeah, I like it.
Generational song. Fair enough. You just put me on game.
He went more than most
Well, I was
people
saying that
from
song,
this era,
like,
because while I
fair
like
enough,
pop
bro.
music, it was never my favorite genre, and I enjoyed the more rap side of things because hyperpop was kind of like a mix of like rap, pop, and whatever. And it seemed like Midwest leaned into that side of the genre a bit more, especially collaborating with fellow up-and-comers at that time. If you guys remember that old SoundCloud era of like the 2020s with Cash Dami, Baby Santana, Slump Sixes, and more on his Back in Action 2 project. I was a big fan of that era coming up along with the hyperpop era, so seeing those two come together was really cool to see for me. He was still doing some like hyperpop type shit at this time too, but eventually he locked in collabs with artists like Babytron, Denzel Curry, and Dro Kenji, which kind of made his direction seem a little more clear. I still gotta listen to his latest project, Archangel, but he was always one of my favorite evolutions from this era, and to this day he still has a strong core fan base and is touring. One thing you'll notice about the artists from this era that I'm covering is that they're all still touring, making music, and they all still have strong core fan bases, and that's mostly because they were some of the biggest artists from this era, and they retained strong audiences that have allowed them to continue continue living off their music. The only people I'd really say like seem to have fallen off are the smaller tier artists that just weren't as big as these guys, but most people have been able to make it work, usually just shifting genres a bit rather than sticking to that OG hyperpop sound. For example, Lou. I don't know if you guys remember Lou. I didn't even care to look into him for this video. He got mad at me for making a reaction and not liking his songs, so I'm not sure where Lou's at today. Glaive is probably one of the bigger artists
nigga,
to come
bitch,
from this
nigga.
scene. He was
Say your
boys with
word.
Eric DOA, like I mentioned, and also briefly went more into that pop sound. But now what I'm seeing from him is he's doing a bit more of a two-hollis type of music, if you know what I mean, like a mix of EDM and pop or whatever you want to call it. So similar to the hyperpop thing, but you know, not quite the same, not as glitchy and crazy as it was before. Bass heavy. His music was bass heavy too back in the day. And his music is solid, but I do remember this big controversy when he signed to a label and he had that collab song with MGK. Everyone was mad, saying he sold out the scene and wasn't bringing people with him. Although he does collaborate with Curtains a lot, if you guys remember Curtains, and so it's good he kept one connection at least. And he definitely leaned into that emo sound for a bit too. Although the MGK thing was years back, and he's retained a fairly strong audience ever since signing, because when he first blew up, he was definitely one of the biggest from this scene.
Oh, first. He's
Regardless,
friends with my wife.
Glaive, of course,
Fair
like
enough,
everyone
bro.
else, is still touring and is probably
bad.
one of the more successful artists.
I'm gonna make sure she
era,
introduces
which in
me to
part,
her, bro.
I feel like it's just he has like one of those like big
To him,
fandoms,
sorry.
you know. He's like a quirky kind of personality, like the
Quirky.
awkwardness and everything. So
you got it,
that
bro.
probably helps. So I'd imagine that's part of the reason why he's still so successful to this day. 100 Gags was definitely one of the top artists from this era. They weren't quite in the same vein as a lot of the other people I'm talking about, because I think they were one of like the OGs that sort of ushered in this new wave, which is why they became some of the biggest artists from this era and some of the most critically acclaimed. They've stayed pretty true to their sound, making that more experimental, weird stuff as always, and their last project was in 2023, which I thought was pretty good. Oh yeah, Dumbest Girl Alive, Doritos and Fritos, Billy Knows Jamie, those are some songs I really enjoyed. Dylan Brady, I've seen, has been doing a lot of production work for tons of random people throughout the music industry, like Skrillex, for example. And I'm not sure if Laura Les has been really doing too much production work. I know she is a producer. I haven't seen her name popping around too much, but maybe I'm just missing it. They are still touring, though, and things like that. So I'd imagine more music as a collective is on its way, and they're definitely still one of the biggest artists from this era. Now, coming up here, we have two interesting cases, starting off with Jane Remover. Jane Remover is definitely one of the biggest and most interesting artists to come from this era, because she hasn't really left this.
I have not a single nigga from this one, bro. I don't know a single person from. God damn.